Now it's time for our Need to Know segment, where we bring you up to date on current Riverside County news and events. The Super Tuesday presidential primary election is happening next week on March 3rd. Also on the ballot are candidates running in other national, state, and local races. The two top vote recipients in state legislative and local congressional races, regardless of their party, will move on to the November general election if no candidate receives a simple majority vote. United States Representative District 42 is also on the ballot, which includes part of western Riverside County and has 3 candidates vying for the seat, including the 3-term incumbent, Ken Calvert. U.S. Representative District 50, extending from San Diego County into Temecula, has 10 candidates, which includes 2 Democrats and 4 Republicans. You will definitely want to keep an eye on the 28th State Senate District race, which covers Temecula, Murrieta, Lake Elsinore, Canyon Lake, and Wildomar. Jeff Stone previously occupied this seat before leaving for a position with the U.S. Department of Labor. There is currently an even number running for the state Senate seat, 2 Republican candidates and 2 Democratic candidates. Now, since this is a special election due to the position vacancy, a runoff election will occur in May rather than November 2020 if a single candidate does not win a clear majority. State Assembly District 67, which includes Lake Elsinore, Menifee, Murrieta, and Wildomar, has 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat running. District 75 covers part of Temecula, where there are 2 candidates running against the 4-term incumbent, Marie Waldron. You will also see on the ballot candidates for the County Board of Supervisors from Districts 1 and 3. County Board Supervisors affect the day-to-day lives here in Riverside County as they serve as liaisons to local and state government to solve regional issues. We invited 3rd District Supervisor Chuck Washington to the studio to learn more about the role county supervisors play within their districts. What is the role of a county supervisor?
You know, the role is rather broad and sometimes difficult to explain to folks, but essentially we set budget priorities and policies for Riverside County. We cannot conflict with state and federal law, and we do not have direct authority over the actions of a city council, or tribal government. A county supervisor's job is not a department at the county, but we are a part of the government of cities. As an individual supervisor, I don't actually have any authority. My authority only comes as a part of a board, in our case a 5-member board, and so it takes a majority of that board, 3 of us supervisors, to agree on something, to move an ordinance or a policy or our adopted budget through the process.
How many supervisors are up for re-election this year?
This year will be 2 supervisors, myself and the 1st District Supervisor, Jeffries, and intentionally for county elections as well as city elections, terms are staggered so that you don't have a turnover of the entire board or council all in one election. You know, with 5 supervisors having their own districts, sometimes it can be challenging. We spend probably 90% of our time in our own districts working on our district issues, but it really is incumbent upon us to come together and work on the larger good for the entire county.
When should a constituent come to their supervisor for a problem or an issue?
We encourage them to call our office first if they are unsure about where they should go to get issues resolved or to get advice on what department does what for them, because we readily can provide them with that direction and that guidance.
Well, hopefully those watching are now encouraged to get a hold of their county supervisor.
We would love that, yeah, absolutely.
Well, it was interesting and an awesome opportunity to learn more about you and your role. We're all rooting for you, and thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank you. It's been enjoyable.
To find out more about who represents your district, we provided a link on our website that will connect you to that information. In addition to national and local candidate races, there are state propositions on the ballot. Now, this can be a challenge with conflicting pros and cons. Gene Wunderlich, Murrieta's mayor, shares his insight and opinion on Proposition 13. Here's more.
Hi, my name is Gene Wunderlich. I currently work in government affairs for the Local Association of Realtors, as well as a coalition of local chambers of commerce. We have an election coming up on March 3rd. We just thought you might need to know a few of the things that are going to be going on. One of the things I want to talk about today is an interesting ballot proposition that you'll see on the March 3rd ballot. It's called Prop 13. Every 10 years, they start renumbering propositions. So this is actually the fifth Prop 13 we've seen since the original Prop 13 passed in 1978. What this Prop 13 is, pure and simple, is a school bond issue. And it proposes to raise $15 billion in school bonds. We have already passed a number of school bond issues, including the most recent one, a $9 billion school bond that was issued that was passed by the voters in 2016. Of that $9 billion bond that was passed by you as the voters, $7.7 billion are still sitting unaccounted for. They have not been allocated. They've not been spent on our schools. This is a matching fund. So if the state is going to give you $1 billion, the school district has to match that $1 billion. How do they do that? They raise local bond money. Under the original Prop 13, the school bond local cap was set at 1.25%. The fine print in this Prop 13 allows schools to raise that to 2%. That's your money. That's a cap on the percentage of money that they can apply to your property taxes. So that would almost double. So I encourage you to get the facts, read the fine print. Be very, very careful what you see on social media, because this is not a repeal of Prop 13. The Attorney General was not being devious in assigning Prop 13 as a number to this particular ballot proposition, but it is, in my opinion, again, it's not a good proposition, and you should vote no on it. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Voting is your right as a U.S. citizen. No matter how you vote, what's important is that you vote. If you have not registered, a new California law allows you to register at your local polling place and receive a provisional ballot on voting day, which is next week, Tuesday, March 3rd.